Hello, everybody, my lovelies. How are we all? Hope you're well. Welcome to this episode of Itchy Bitchy and Guest. Today, I am going to speak about understanding your midlife metabolism, right? Because there is so much rubbish out there and general, what I say, lies. It's quite a strong word, right? But yeah, lies about metabolism and midlife, and there's also a lot of women, possibly through no fault of their own, using a broken metabolism as an excuse to not sort their shit out in midlife. So, the definition of metabolism. Metabolism is the term for all the chemical processes that occur within a living organism to maintain life. But essentially, it's how your body converts food and drink into the energy it needs to function. So, if you are telling me that your metabolism has broken, well, it is a pile of shite, basically. Right, now, we might need to do some different things, and will your metabolism be different in midlife from previous lives? I was going to say, how many lives have you got? Do you know what I mean? But when you get to midlife, will your metabolism work differently or slower or just differently from before you were in midlife and you were in the perimenopause? Yes, 100%. So, to fix said metabolism, even though it's not broken, but to fix it, do you think if it's working differently, you would maybe need to do different things? Yes. Classic example of doing the same thing and expecting different results. All right, but I want to say to you all, all right, that there are things that slow down your metabolism and there are things that can speed up your metabolism, and that's perfectly acceptable, right? And that's total science and that is totally cool. But your metabolism is not broken. 100% it's not broken. Absolutely not. All right, so we're talking about something every woman over 40 has felt, right? Agree, but maybe hasn't had it explained properly, your metabolism. So I'm going to try and explain it in my normal, simple manner. All right, but it might feel like your body has slowed down, right? You're maybe struggling, you're maybe fatigued, you've got less energy, everything feels like a bloody slog, you've maybe got fat gain going on, right? So obviously something has changed and your metabolism has slowed down, all right? It is not broken. I honestly cannot say that enough, right? It's not broken. But what I'm going to try and do is tell you why it feels like your body's slowed down. Why are the things that used to work? Sorry, I am reading some notes, by the way, if you're watching me on YouTube, looking all unprofessional, all right? My memory is atrocious, so I have to have notes. Right, so why does it feel like your body's slowed down? Why are the things that used to work not working anymore? This goes back to we might need to change it up a wee bit. And most importantly, right, what can you actually do to feel more energised, to feel stronger, and just to feel like less stuck? Yeah, so I'm going to try and bust some myths for you. The first one is my metabolism broken? Is it fuck? That would be the first myth, all right? And see if we can get some. So, what we need to do, right, is speak about this all the time, all right? I absolutely packed on 2 stone during the perimenopause. I absolutely blamed the perimenopause. Was it anything to do with the perimenopause? No, it was not. It was to do with me moving less and sitting on the sofa eating Haribo chocolate and takeaways. Yeah? And the sooner you think about how your life has changed since you hit the perimenopause, right, and think about how you're moving less and how your diet has maybe went a bit to shit, the sooner you think about that and realise that it's your own fault that you've packed on weight, then the sooner you can fix it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. So your metabolism, right? It's basically how your body converts the food that you eat into energy, right? So that you've got energy to function and to move, all right? So it's not just calories in, calories out. I've said this many a time before. If anybody says to you, oh, you want to lose fat, you just need to eat less calories and move more, they deserve a punch in the fucking face twice, all right? Because to give you that statement without any context and without helping you do that, that is effectively what you need to do. But it's really difficult to do that if you don't actually know what you're doing. So let's not do that, all right? Anyway, it is effectively calories, calories in, calories out is a scientific thing, all right? But it obviously comes down to so much more than that, right? So it does include your BMR, right, which is your basal metabolic rate. I'm not going to go into like technicals and acronyms and science and all that malarkey, right? But your BMR is effectively how many calories you would burn if you lay in the bed all day and did bugger all right? Which is why when some women say to me, oh yeah, I'm eating 800 calories, that doesn't even cover how many calories your body would burn if you lay in your bed and did bugger all day, because things like sneezing, blinking your eyes, the blood running through your veins, your heart pumping, your brain power, right, they all use calories. So BMR is basically how many calories you use lying in your bed doing nothing, all right? And it's way more than you think, actually. All right. Your metabolism includes your NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. God, I've dredged that up for the back of my brain. All right, which is it's basically non-exercise movement. So all the movement that you do throughout the day that doesn't include going to the gym. So like getting up off of the sofa and make a cup of tea, running up and down the stairs. That's your NEAT, right? Which is why daily walks and steps are the best thing you can do for fat loss, because that increases your NEAT, non-exercise movement. All right, TEF, can't actually remember what that stands for, but it's to do with how many calories it takes for your body to process food. You've all heard the celery story, I'm assuming, yeah? So there's so little calories in celery that it actually takes your body more calories to process said celery than you eat than the calories in the celery. All right, it does actually, you do actually burn calories. So for every woman out there that thinks, oh my God, I need to go and do cardio 7 days a week to burn off the calories that I've eaten, no, you do not. All right, we do not. So, hormonal changes, right? So, obviously, our estrogen and our progesterone are like this. Right, our testosterone as well, right? That all affects your metabolism. So, things will have changed. That is cool, right? The minute we accept that, that's cool. So, things will have changed. Your metabolism will have changed. May have changed, all right? It's not broken. All right. So what slows down your metabolism in midlife, right? Your hormonal shifts, just what I've said to you. So your decline in estrogen and progesterone, absolutely, right? You will have lost some muscle. So your loss of muscle mass, the correct word for that is actually sarcopenia, which I think was a very American word. I could be wrong here, all right? And the reason that I'm saying that is because the first time I heard it was on my level 1 CrossFit course, and it was Americans that were taking it, which is why in my head it's American. Anyway, it's a word that's used a lot more now over in this country. So sarcopenia, all right, which is basically loss of muscle mass. It starts in your 30s, right? So you might think that you're rocking it at 32, all right, and you're like super strong. But if you don't continue to use that muscle, i.e. by weightlifting, you're going to lose even more, all right? It does, the loss of muscle mass, it speeds up as we get into our 40s, which is obviously like late 40s and stuff, is obviously midlife, and it's like top perimenal time as well, all right? So you are going to do that, right? You've got lower energy expenditure, right? Now this, you unconsciously move less, right? I was absolutely guilty of that. I would denied I moved less because I was still walking the dog and I was still going to the gym, right? But when I thought about it, I was walking the dog for shorter distances and I was maybe going to the gym just as much, but that's because I work in the gym. I was predominantly coaching. I wasn't necessarily taking part in the workouts, which is what I would have done before. So my energy expenditure absolutely dropped. But even simple things like I would maybe, pre-perimenal, I would maybe work like in front of my laptop and stuff, till 1 o'clock, have my lunch, and then I would be up and about. I would be dittering about in the garden. I would be up and downstairs. I would be putting washings on. I would just generally be moving. Yet when I got the fatigue from the perimenal, I would work till 1 o'clock, have my lunch, and then I would literally sit on the sofa till I had to go back out to my work again at 4 o'clock. So there was a good 2 to 3 hours a day of movement. So you are moving less, but it's unconscious, right? You're not actually making the decision, oh, I know, I'm just going to sit on my arse for the next 3 hours and do fuck all. All right, you're not actually making that decision. So it's a wee bit harder. So you need to think really hard about whether you are or not. You probably are, all right? Poor sleep and higher stress. So again, 2 symptoms of the perimenopause. Shitey sleep, basically, and stress levels. We struggle to control them because we think that sitting on the sofa, scrolling on Instagram and drinking a bottle of wine is managing our stress, when in fact it's not. It's actually making our stress levels worse. So, poor sleep, when we have less sleep, cortisol and adrenaline are released, and when we are highly stressed, not even a word, when our stress levels are higher, more cortisol and more adrenaline is released, right? And it's that's the problem. That causes fat storage, all right? It also increases our appetite, cortisol and adrenaline, right? Also increases our appetite, and it also causes cravings as well. So you're battling 3 of those things there. So if you've got a shitty night's sleep, you're absolutely going to be stressed, all right? This is going to release cortisol, which increases appetite, increases cravings, and it changes the way and the place and how our body stores fat. So all of that stuff, all right? Also, dieting history. So I have also mentioned this before as well. When my clients come to me, all right, they're all women. Most of them have spent, if I ask them how long they've been dieting for, right, it's a bit like Pretty Woman. No, it's not. It's a bit like Julia Roberts in Notting Hill. She'll say, basically, I've been on a diet for the whole of my life, or at least for 20 years. You actually haven't, but your body thinks that you have, because you've been trying to live on low calories like Monday to Friday. So what this means is that your metabolic floor, so just say we want it to be here, right? So after years of dieting, it can drop to here, which is why a lot of women also have an absolute meltdown when they come to me and I say, oh yeah, we're going to spend the first month on maintenance calories. And then when I say to them, yep, you're going to eat like 2,200 calories a day, it's like, what the fuck? I can't eat that many calories. Because in fact, you can eat that many calories. It just takes us 4 weeks or so to get you there. Then that way your body thinks that it's going to get all this food, so everything starts working normally, and then we stick you into a calorie deficit. And then you drop body fat. It's quite simple, all right? But, well, it's simple in theory. It's actually not really simple to do, especially when you're so conditioned to eating 800 to 1,000 calories or whatever, all right? So your diet and history will slow your metabolic or your metabolism down, all right? But it's fixable. It's not broken. It's just went AWOL for a wee while, all right? So, more importantly, what can you do to speed it back up and to support your midlife metabolism, all right? There is a lot of things, and this goes back to what I said at the beginning, that the sooner you realise that you have put body fat on and you have gained body fat in midlife, purely through things that you have done or not done, the sooner you realise that and accept that, the sooner you can fix it. Because if it's somebody else's fault or something else's fault, well, you don't have to fix it, do you? No, that's somebody else or something else has to fix it because it's out with your control. So all you're doing is giving yourself a big fat excuse. So accept responsibility. All right. So the number one thing, lift weights. Strength training, call it whatever you want, call it strength training, call it resistance training, call it weightlifting, call it lifting weights, call it whatever you want, all right? But you need to strength train, all right? You need to lift weights. This preserves the muscle that you have and builds new muscle, right? Muscle burns more calories when it's resting than body fat does. Perfect reason to go and get ripped. Well, maybe not get ripped, that's like quite a hard thing to do, but perfect reason to be building muscle and reducing body fat because you burn more calories, yeah? Excellent, right? That was tip number 1. Tip number 2, protein intake, especially in the morning, supports muscle. So Protein does two things in your body: keeps you fuller for longer and retains and builds muscle. So it retains the muscle that you have, which is what we want, because we don't want sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, all right? And it keeps you feeling fuller for longer, which stops the cravings, all right? Protein, especially in the morning, will stop the 10:30 munchies, all right? Believe it or not, if you eat breakfast, you are also less likely to snack in the afternoon. And eating protein at breakfast and eating a breakfast, you are less likely to snack in the evening. So you can stop raiding the fridge and stop raiding the kitchen and all the cupboards after your dinner, because you've had a decent breakfast, right? The ideal thing to do in midlife is to keep your body fueled and topped up throughout the day. True story, by the way, kid you not. All right, you are aiming for at least 20 grams of protein with every meal, preferably nearer 40. True story. Yeah. Awesome. Tip number 3, daily movement. This is your NEAT. All right, daily movement. So steps and walking. 10,000 steps per day. Yes, it was plucked out of the air as a promo for a pedometer, but it's stuck. And if you're not doing 10,000 steps a day, then that's a good goal. If you can knock out 10,000 steps a day, no bother, then you need to think about getting up to 12 and a half or 15 or 18 or 20 or something like that, all right? But pick a number, hit that goal, be consistent with that goal, and then increase it. Kid you not, all right? It's the best thing for fat loss. Consistent fueling, just what I said about the protein basically in the breakfast. Consistent fueling, not starving, eating enough to support your metabolism. So we want to eat enough to support your metabolism, i.e. not put you into starvationness. We want to eat enough to support your exercise and your training and your activity. We don't want to eat that much that we're supporting fat gain, sorry, all right? We don't want to eat that much that you're supporting. So if you eat more calories than your body burns, you will gain body fat. It is that simple, all right? You can gain body fat by eating 4,000 calories worth of oranges. So don't think for 1 minute that it's bread and pasta and rice and takeaways and sweeties and wine that makes you put weight on. It is not. It is the amount of calories. Obviously, if you're going to drink 4,000 calories worth of wine and eat takeaways every night, you're obviously going to gain body fat. And like, let's face it, who's actually going to eat 4,000 calories of Jaffa cakes, I was going to say, of satsumas? Nobody's going to do that. But if you did do that, you would still gain body fat. So it's about eating at a correct calorie deficit, a healthy calorie deficit, if you're looking for fat loss, all right? Sleep and stress management. This is one of the most underrated things that we do, right? Because we didn't sort our sleep out. We think that everything that we do in life is way more important than our sleep. We don't actually give sleep a second thought. If it's shit, we just assume that it's going to be shit forever. We don't actually do anything. It's like it's a non-tangible. So we don't actually do anything to make sleep better. Whereas in fact, there are so many things we can do to improve our sleep. And if we wake up in the morning well rested, consistently, all right, everything else will seem like less of a drama. You will deal with stuff better. You will have the motivation to train. You will want to look after yourself. You will feel awesome. You will actually start to like what you see in the mirror, because your brain is well rested and your body has had time to repair itself. Sleep and stress management are critical to fat loss. Critical. Yep. And then the last top tip you can do about sorting out your metabolism and supporting it is not chasing quick fixes. So anything like put butter in your coffee. So many eye rolls, honestly. Fat burner tablets, juice cleanses, shit yourself shakes, all right? 800 to 1,200 calorie diets. No, just no. No. No, just don't do it, all right? I remember, like, I'll ask everybody that comes and watches me, right? I'll always ask them, like, what their diet and history is, if they can give me just a brief insight into what they've done previously, right? And they'll, not all of them, all right? And I used to do this myself, all right? A lot of women will say to me, yeah, I used to go to Slimming World or Weight Watchers or whatever, Scottish Slimmers or whatever, and I was like, all right, how did you go? And it worked. It worked, I lost like 3 stone. Well, did it actually work? Because did you keep the 3 stone off? Well, no, I'm now 6 stone heavier. Never fucking worked then, did it? Do you know what I mean? It's not just about getting to the goal. It's not about losing the fat. Anybody can diet. Anybody. I swear to God, you could go and pick 100 random people, right, and give me them, and I would get them to lose fat. It wouldn't be a problem. But when I stopped working with them, 99% of those people would put the weight back on, all right? So it's not about the quick fix, because if you don't have the after plan, your quick fix is pointless. You've just put yourself through a shit ton of pain for fuck all, basically. So you could hit a scale target weight for a week. Alright, so ditch your quick fixes, alright. Finally, right, mindset. I am a massive believer in mindset. I actually think I might have been a psychologist in a previous life. No, if I got to live my life again, I think I would maybe go and do that, because it quite fascinates me how the brain works. Anyway, mindset shift, right? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But it is your responsibility, right? That's 2 very strong statements, all right? If you have gained weight in the perimenopause, right, yes, it was 100% through things that you chose to do or didn't do, right? But if you didn't know what you didn't know, so if you didn't know what you weren't doing, right, because nobody had told you about your metabolism and midlife and the perimeno, right, fine, it's not your fault. But that doesn't mean it's not your responsibility. The only person that can decide to look after themselves, decide to give their body the self-respect that it deserves, decide that they're going to get a bit healthy and a bit fit and drop a bit of body fat is you. Regardless of whether it was your fault or not, it is 100% your responsibility. So, your metabolism is not broken, all right? You are not broken, but your body is responding exactly the way it should be to what you're doing, right? So if you are not sorting your sleep out, if you are drinking a bottle of wine a night, if you are filling your body full of shit, your body is responding exactly the way it should be to that by inciting you not to move off the sofa. It's not giving you any motivation. It doesn't like what it sees in the mirror, right? So until you fix what you're putting into your body and how you're treating your body, it's not going to work. It's not going to work with you. It's going to work against you, all right? It's try and think of the perimeno, right? It's not the end, but believe me, I felt like it was the end a few times, as I'm sure my husband did as well. But it's not the end, all right? But it is a time that you're going to need to make a decision, and you're going to need to decide whether you're going to continue down this route of absolute fucking chaos, or you're going to accept the invitation to upgrade your habits and your efforts to looking after your body. Pretty much, yeah? Yeah. So, it's not the end, all right? You're not broken, but it goes back to the thing that I said at the beginning. If you want different results, you need to do something differently, all right? And it is hard, because changing habits is absolutely hard. Of course it is. And you're never going to be motivated to do it all the time. But one of the habits you should be working on is discipline. Self-discipline. Turning up when you say you're going to turn up. Putting things in your diary. Turning up at the gym. Planning your food. Setting your time aside to do your food shopping. Sorting out your sleep. Doing your pre-bed routine. Drinking your water. When you can do all of that, all right, commit to doing all of that with a bit of discipline, not motivation. Motivation sucks. With a bit of discipline, then you'll start to see the rewards. 100%, all right? So if you feel like you've been betrayed, your body's betrayed you, I totally get it, all right? And you're just like a sluggish version of who you used to be, right? You need to remember it's not laziness. It's not conscious laziness. Very rarely do we actually decide that we're just going to sit on the sofa for hours and hours and hours. Very rarely do we have zero motivation, right? Yeah, motivation comes in waves, but if you're getting to the stage now that you haven't had an ounce of motivation in the last 6 months or whatever, then there's a problem, right? Absolutely, we're not denying that, but you can fix that problem, definitely. Right, your metabolism, I've totally been struggling with that word all day. Your metabolism has changed, all right? But like I said, you're not powerless. It might not be your fault, conscious fault, that you've packed on a couple of pounds or a couple of stone, all right? But It's 100% your responsibility, right? You need the right tools, you need strength, you need food, you need movement, you need rest, and you need compassion. You can absolutely turn the midlife around, 100%, all right? 100%. So, as always, my lovelies, you know I am a coach. My programme is called the Midlife Reset. It is specifically designed for midlife women that have maybe lost themselves a wee bit and want to find themselves again and actually want to stop being chaos and take control of their life, with some daily healthy habits and some fat loss. All right. You know where to find me. You know I'm on here. I'm on the socials under Coach Caris. I'm on YouTube under Coach Caris. Please drop me a message. My chat is my chat is always free. All right. Take care, my lovelies. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.